everyone, it's Miss Aida from Codemoji. Today we are going to go to an expert snake level, right? So just like before we've created our own coding, we're going to do the same thing now, okay? So first things first, you need to make sure you are signed into Codemoji. And once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and go to Learn to Code on the sidebar. And once you're there, you'll see the different courses you can take. So we're going to go all the way down into expert lessons. And in expert lessons, we have snake. So mine is 100% complete, but remember, it's at your pace. So I'm going to go ahead and click on snake. And here, try to find the patterns that you see within the code, right? So for this one, our first lesson is the snake color. So that's what we're going to be focused on, okay? So remember that you have a question bar here if you need help. For some of it, it may work, some of it may not. So the first thing you need to do is go ahead and type in what it says. So here, the variable is going to be a game that is equal to new snake game. And you'll notice that snake game here is one word, but to show that it's two different words, the G is capitalized. Open parentheses, close parentheses, semicolon. And so as soon as I get that, it lets me go on to my next step. Now, the color of the snake, the variable snake color is going to be blue. So let's see, var snake color is equal to blue. And remember, those quotes that you see, those are really important because it shows you what's inside that string. So it's just blue. Semicolon. And now I'm going to go ahead and put in game dot snake color is equal to snake color. And let's see, that's my first lesson. Click here to begin. Use arrow keys to control the snake. So you'll notice here, I turned my snake into a blue snake. And so I can even start playing right now, but as soon as it touches the edges, I know that my game is over. So you have to make sure you're trying to, there we go. So I got 1 score, 2, until your game is over, right? So I got up to 5. Now on to our next lesson. Our next lesson is lesson 2, which is the food color. So just like before, our variable is a game, and it's a new snake game. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. A variable game is equal to new snake game. Open parentheses, close parentheses. Now the food color here is going to be green. And you'll see that food color is represented with our variable. And you'll see food color is one word. But again, the C is capitalized to show it's two different words. Food color is equal to, let's see if this works, green. So it's not letting me move on. Why not? Right, I need to make sure my green is inside those quotes to show that it's a string of its own. Green. And so it also color codes it for me to let me know. Now, just like before, game dot food color is equal to food color. So remember, if you spell something wrong, it's not going to let you type. So that's one thing that's really important about coding is if you make a mistake, you'll notice that your code isn't exactly what you want it to be. So you have to look back into your code and try to fix it. And it's complete. So let's take a look. And so you'll see that food color turned to green. And so again, you can play around with it. So let's move on to our next lesson. In our next lesson, we're going to change the background color. So you'll start seeing a pattern between the different lessons, and you should try to pick up what you've already learned in the previous lessons to kind of help you figure out what's going to come next, right? So here, just like before, the variable is game equals to new snake game, open parentheses, close parentheses. And so as soon as I put in my semicolon, it's going to show me my next step. But I want you to guess, what do you think the next step will be? It'll probably have something to do with the background color. Can you guess what it would look like? Let's see. Yep. Let's see. There. So it doesn't have anything to do with the background color. We're still working on the snake color. Let's see. Snake color is equal to, and here the snake is going to be yellow. So we did the snake color. So what's next from what we've learned might be the food color or it might be the background color. Let's see. The food color, right? So variable food color is equal to white. And now we're doing the background color. So you'll see it did the snake color, the food color, and the background. So those three are all our last three lessons combined. So the variable background is equal to black. And so just like last time, we're going to add that last bit. So you can kind of assume that this will probably be the last code for this lesson because we've already done the snake color, the food color, and the background color. Is equal to snake color. Ooh, actually it's not. So let's see. So you'll see that the first one says snake color. What do you think the next one would be? Food color. And then the last one, there's probably one more talking about the background color. So as I'm doing this, I'm kind of guessing what's coming next because that'll help me be independent of relying on Codemoji to kind of tell me what's happening. It's equal to, so you'll start to see patterns. So it's not letting me do that because I misspelled game. So everything else is right except game. So I'm going to go ahead and go all the way back to game dot food color is equal to food color. Alright, so let's see what that last part is. Yep, so exactly as we predicted, the last one is probably the background. Game dot background is equal to background. Let's see, and we've completed our third lesson. So we said the snake color was going to be yellow, food color is white, and the background is black. Let's take a look. Ooh, so exactly what we wanted. And remember, you can play around with this because it's a game you created. So it's kind of nice to see how it works out. Oh, okay. So now you're going to go ahead and move on to the next step. So our next lesson is speed. Okay, so we know this is going to be a variable into our coding. So we can kind of guess what's going to happen. So let's see. Just like last time, our first step is the variable of a game is equal to new snake game, open parentheses, close parentheses. And here, they're telling us the speed is going to be 40. speed, our variable is speed, and it's going to be 40. And just like last time, we were ending with game dot our variable equals our variable. So in this case, it's speed. Yep, and our lesson 4 is complete. Let's see. Wow, so you'll notice going a lot faster than it did before. So it gets a lot more challenging. So remember that if we weren't on Codemoji, you could also change the speed to 30 if you want to make it easier, or even 50 or 70 to make it even harder. So now we're going to work on our length. So you notice last time was kind of our snake was kind of short, so maybe we can make it longer. Game is equal to new snake game, open parentheses, close parentheses. So remember when you have an open and close parentheses, that kind of shows you that it's going to tell you what command you want the snake game to take. Size. So here I want my size to be 15. And based on this and our last lesson, you can kind of guess that our next one, our next step would probably be to go ahead and close it. So it'll probably be something like the variable size is equal to the size. Let's see. Yep. So game dot, it's the variable, which is size, is equal to the size. So let's take a look at what that's. Oh. And so our snake is so much longer than it was before. And so this makes it even more difficult for the player, because if I go into myself, oh, I guess that hasn't happened yet, but you can code it so that way if you happen to walk into yourself, then the game would also be over. Okay. And let's take a look at lesson 6, slow response. So at this point, you should all kind of know what that first one is going to be, because we're still talking about the snake game. And so here we're talking about our response, and there's no other variables that we're asking for. So after this code, what do you think the next code will be? So if you said something like game.response equals response, that might be right, because we've noticed that that's how a lot of our coding has ended once we're done with entering the variable. And in this case, our variable is response equals response. Ooh. Oh. So I expected it to be over, but it's not, because I need to go ahead and put in my semicolon. And now it's complete. And so you'll see it slow down a lot more. Right? So this might not be challenging enough for some of you guys. So in that case, you would want to increase the variable of the response time. Oh. So we just finished lesson 6, and so we saw the slow response. So we're going to go ahead and see our next lesson. And this time it's going to be a fast response. So because the last one was a slow response, you should kind of have an idea of what fast response might feel like. Our first code, just like always, is the variable of the game is equal to new snake game, open parentheses, close parentheses. And here our response is 15, right? And remember last time I think it was like 3, so we'll kind of see the difference between the two. A variable response is equal to 15, and then game dot response is equal to response. Yep. And that's what we have for lesson 7. Right? So let's take a look at what that looks like. So you'll see it's going a lot faster than it did last time. Oh, let's see. So you'll also notice that my snake got longer too. And remember, if you want to practice what this might look like without following the code or guessing what the code, you can press this refresh button and you can just start again. So that way you can kind of try it on your own without really relying on the rules to tell you what's next. So you have variable of game is equal to new snake game, open parentheses, close parentheses. Right. And if you're like, actually, I'm done with this, you can just go on to the next lesson because they already know you've completed it. So now, our food size. So we have variable game is equal to new snake game, open parentheses, close parentheses. Can you guess what's going to come next? So I just want you to guess what you think the next one will be, and then we'll see if you're correct. Food size. All right. So we know that the variable is going to be food size. And so we've done this a couple times now, to the point where I feel like we all know what the next code is. What do you think it is? Yeah, it might be game dot our variable, which is food size, is equal to our food size. Let's see if we're right. Yep, perfect. So you'll notice it's all a pattern. So everything builds on each other, and what you're changing is just the names for different things. For example, the name of our variable has changed, but it's always been game.variable is equal to variable, right? Dot food size is equal to food size. And so our food size is going to be 10 here. Let's see, what does that look like? Oh, so you see how big our food is right now? So this actually makes it really a lot easier to play the game, because then it's easier to catch it. So here, let's take a look. This is the snake size, right? So after this code, which is the variable game is equal to new snake game, open parentheses, close parentheses, parentheses, semicolon, what do you think that next bit of code is going to be? It's going to be related to the snake size. Exactly. So let's see. Variable game is equal to new. And at this point, just because everything is so repetitive in coding, you could probably just guess the rest of the line of code for this lesson. Alright, so the variable of snake size is equal to 1. And now the next one is going to be, game.variable, which is our snake size, is equal to our snake size. And our lesson 9 is complete. So you'll notice our snake size is really small. So if you take a look at this entire lesson, you'll notice that we've changed lots of different things. There's only 3 things that are on the board, right? You only have your snake, you have your food, and you just have a background. But those 3 things, you'll notice we're already up to lesson 9. There are 9 different things that we are already able to manipulate to create our game. So even though there's not a lot of things to work with, there's lots of things to do to just one thing. So that's really cool about a game, because you get to create it however you'd like. And so you can keep continuing to do this and figuring out different variables that we can use. So maybe another thing is when the food gets eaten, the snake becomes longer, right? Or once you lose, the snake becomes smaller. So remember that you can learn how to play, how to create this kind of game to create your own way. All right, so have fun with the rest of these lessons. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.